Greetings. I'm checking on you, Cardinal family, because I know there has been so much for all of us to deal with. And of course, some segments of our society have felt the pain even more strongly. I'm talking, of course, about both the pandemic that we have all been grappling with for the past few months and the epidemic of racism and inequity that have always been part of our society, but whose impact we are seeing now in sharp focus and clarity. So, right now, you may be hearing a lot about Juneteenth, and you might wonder what this is all about. I first learned about it when my first job out of graduate school was in Texas. And there's something very poignant right now about Juneteenth. Just as the message that they were free did not reach some of the enslaved populations in Texas for 2.5 years after the proclamation, I wonder, have we all received the message? Did we get the memo that the daily insults, that the indignities, the microaggressions, all the way to the killings and murders have to stop? We are one human family, and it's time for us to act that way. To tell you more about this, I have the right person here for you, our Senior Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Faye Jones. So Faye, turning it over to you.
Thank you, Neely. I took this opportunity to write down a few notes so I'll make sure I'm covering all the points I want to share with you today. In serving as the head for diversity and equity for U of L, I continue to be honored. And also serving during this time when our nation is having a collective consciousness around the continued racial inequity we see and experience bears a heavy burden. Like many of you, I struggle with a variety of emotions. There are days when I'm angry, days when I'm sad, days when I feel totally overwhelmed by all that we see, because unfortunately we know this is not the first, and it is becoming way too common. But even when it's easy to become overwhelmed and even paralyzed in the face of structural racism, I am hopeful. As your Chief Diversity Officer and the second Black woman to hold this position, I am especially made hopeful by the fact that I know our university can make a difference by fostering an equitable and just campus. My team and I are preparing a full-length presentation to be released this fall that will tell some of the areas that we are trying to impact. But until then, I want to share a few facts with you. We have enhanced CODRA's campus environment team to include a broader representation from pretty much all of our academic and administrative units, including representation from student organizations. We've done this in an effort to ensure that all voices from every level are heard in our collaboration in guiding the university. The Office of Diversity and Equity, the HSC Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and all of our affiliated offices and centers are enhancing programming related to structural racism to offer support to our campus community who are experiencing pain and isolation, and working with others who want to learn more and work to change the systems of inequity. We've also renewed our membership to the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity to assist our efforts to maintain and grow diversity among our faculty and staff, and would also offer professional development and networking opportunities through this center. Now, I recognize our progress of what we made, but I also find it very important to acknowledge that there is still so much work to be done and so much that each of us can do. I commend our Black students who have organized and taken purposeful action, keeping our university accountable for the work we still need to do to foster an environment of diversity and inclusion. I appreciate our Black faculty and staff who are speaking up about their lived experiences, shining a light where the university must do better, and holding our leaders accountable for how we will retain and support our Black employees. I applaud our Pan-African Studies Department for the courage and persistence they have shown for over 45 years to prioritize a program that is dedicated to the global Black experience, particularly in North America. I also acknowledge other departments, such as the African American Theater Program, the Minority Teacher Recruitment Project, the Diversity Literacy Certificate Program, and other programs and individuals for the impact they have made on Black experience. I value our leaders who are taking time before starting a meeting to address the recent acts of racial injustice and creating a space for their team to share their thoughts and feelings. Finally, I recognize our non-Black and white students, faculty, and staff who are showing up at this moment to act as allies and are voicing their support. Now, celebrating Juneteenth is especially important at this time, as it acknowledges America's struggle to grapple with its legacy of slavery. It is the oldest national celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery. The Civil War ended in April 1865, but word traveled slowly, and it wasn't until June 19th, 1865, that slaves in Texas, one of the last states to abolish slavery, was informed of their emancipation. Although we have advanced as a nation in some areas, we have not fulfilled that dream. So you may ask, what can you as an individual do? If you are feeling unsure on what your next step should be, let me leave you with the following guidance. First, check in. Ask how your peers, your colleagues, your team is feeling. In your next team's meeting, open the floor so folks can express their feelings and see how they're doing. Listen more than you speak. The more we listen and give the floor to those who are hurting and affected by this, the better we can understand how to address and combat the actions and systems that harm our communities of color. Acknowledge your privilege. When you hear about an experience that you don't understand or don't believe, pause for a moment and acknowledge that you might not understand or believe it because you've had the privilege of not being in that circumstance before. Lastly, get informed. In addition to the courageous conversations that I hope you are having, go to the Office of Diversity and Equity website under Resource tab. There you will find a very informative list of anti-racism articles, books, movies, podcasts. At this time, it is not simply enough to say, I'm not a racist. We must become an anti-racist to be fully rid of the infection of racism from our society. I hope you will walk away from this video taking at least one of those 4 actions. And as always, I'm here to support you, to listen to you, and work together toward making our campus a more diverse and inclusive U of L. Thank you.